we lost over 60 some odd members in that time, the previous year. So I had to replace all of those people. So that was the stuff that we had to rebuild. And then in April, everything started to change. My Facebook ads started taking off, which they weren't really in the past. And so they started to take off. And then by July, I had replaced everybody that had left. We've doubled that since. So in a full year, we've doubled the amount of people that we lost.
We love the San Gabriel Valley. There are some amazing people and businesses here, and we think they deserve the spotlight. Welcome to the SGV Master Key Podcast. We'll have on the people that make the SGV great. We'll find out what makes them tick, their ups and downs, their history, and we're going to have fun doing it. This is the SGV Master Key Podcast. And now your hosts, Scott Warmoth and Russell Mano.
All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, we document and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. If you're a returning listener, thanks for tuning in. Sit back, and we're excited to bring you another guest here. Before we get started, just to remind you, we've partnered with San Gabriel Valley Now, your source for city news, announcements, events, special savings, and everything SGV. Check them out on Instagram, sgv.now, and read their new SGV Now magazine on their website, sgvnow.com. It seems like I just saw you a few hours ago, Scott.
Actually, you did. We were climbing a mountain.
Yeah. And I think we do it when it's brutally hot, and now it's quite cold, but it's still fun to get out there.
It's still short and t-shirt weather for us, even at 40 degrees.
And I'm sort of working through the effects of pushing myself to go up there. My lungs sort of suffer for a little bit afterwards, so I'll try to make it through this. But we were talking before the show about the interesting degrees of separation, right? Of how people are connected. But
another way of putting it is connectedness, right?
Sure.
Yeah. I always am intrigued by, people knowing people that and even, it gets a little more elaborate than that. People on two sides knowing you and they know each other as well. I've always been intrigued by those events that happen when you go, like I went to Korea once, South Korea, and found myself at the top of a mountain, 100 miles from what you might call civilization. And there were a few other people there, and one of them, just by coincidence, was from the very same town I grew up in, which is kind of a small city. And so, just the odds of this type of thing happening are always so, incredible.
Sure. I have a story. I don't know if I've shared this with you. When I was in the military and I served in Germany, I went there. My first roommate was Asian. His name was Tuyen Van. They called him HeMan. Went to my high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a year older. And my friends, I asked them, I said, oh, do you know him? They said, oh, yeah, that's HeMan. Because he can do 150 push-ups in 2 minutes. I mean, he was just incredible. But wow. What a small world, right?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Thousands of miles away, and this guy went to my high school. Yeah. So anyway, so we're talking about the degrees of separation without bringing Kevin Bacon into this, because I'm sure you've heard that. But our guest today, it's interesting because there's the connection with a former guest, Sahan from Lee's Hoagie House, and then also a connection with a friend of mine who I've known previously from church, but also you have met her on the hike that we do.
Right.
So that brings us to our guest.
Well, that's the connection. I'm sorry for interrupting. Because it's on the same hike we did this morning.
That's right, yes.
It's on that hike.
I think we saw her multiple times, right?
Yeah, several times.
So,
and she's going to be a guest of ours next week.
Yeah, she is, absolutely. So that brings us to our guest today. His name is Drew Girton. He's the founder and owner of Pendulum Fitness in Pasadena. Drew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. So the show is the SGV Master Key Podcast. What is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Well, I own a business here in the San Gabriel Valley in Pasadena, California, off of Villa Street, which is in between Allen and Altadena, if you're familiar with the area, just north of the 210 freeway. And I found out about you guys from Shahan. And so that was one of the things that I was talking to him when I went in to go get my protein burrito, or as he calls it, the Lee's world famous protein burrito. And I was telling him that I learned so much about him from the podcast, and that podcast came through my Explore feed on Instagram. And it was completely random, had no idea that he was on it. And so I was talking to him about it, and he goes, hey, I could put you in contact with those guys if you want to be on it. And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
You know, and before, I think it was actually Alex and not Sahan. So I think it was Sahan's son who mentioned something, but he couldn't get to it at the time. So I said, okay, I'll just, connect later. And then it actually came through Alex. But, it's interesting, right? What the small world that it is. So you're the owner of Pendulum Fitness. Mm-hmm. But let's go back to, where you grew up, where you're from. Share with our listeners, that story of your life.
Yeah, I am born and from Michigan. I'm a leap year baby, so next year I'll finally get a birthday. The last time I had a birthday, the pandemic started, and so you can blame me for that. But from Ann Arbor, Michigan was where I was born. My dad was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. Great-grandfather was a pastor. And I came out to California, to become a pastor. So I went to Fuller Seminary, and but before all of that, I was a strength and conditioning coach at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I was there for 2 years. I've been in fitness for 22 years now, and came out here for grad school. Decided to stay. I was in a band at one point, and that was going, and I was really wanting to make that happen. Didn't work out, as most artists, when they come out here to try and break it, doesn't necessarily happen. So ended up using my undergrad degree, had quite a bit of success with that, moved up the corporate ranks with 24-Hour Fitness, met my wife on the workout floor, and no, I'm not that guy. But she actually worked for the same company, and I asked her to come work for me, and next thing you know it, she was working for me, and then I fell in love with her, and she left the company and then came back to the company after we got engaged. And then after about a year of us being married, I said, hey, you know what? I really want to open up a CrossFit gym. And she goes, okay, let's do it. And then we ended up finding out that we were having a baby and put that on hold because I was scared to death to start a business and have a baby all in the same year. So we just delayed it by like 11 months. And then we got pregnant with our second. So we have our daughter, who's 10, the business, which is 9, and then our son, which is 8. So at one point, it was a very, very busy time.
Wow.
I had a personal trainer 10 to 15 years ago who had gone to Fuller as well. His name was Zach Marshall. Do you know that name?
I don't, but that's funny because there's a couple other personal trainers that I knew that also went to Fuller at the same shortly after I had left and graduated. So
right.
yeah.
And for those who may not know, Fuller is like in almost like the heart of Pasadena, right?
Yep.
There's so many directions to go here because I want to go back to Michigan. And where did your journey into like fitness and sports, like where did that all start?
Yeah, so there was a guy at my dad's church when I was in 8th grade, and his name was Bill Veit, and his family owned a greenhouse, and they had plants and all this stuff, but Bill was jacked, okay? And this is like back in the day when you only lifted weights if you were wanting to be in bodybuilding and like looking like Arnold. So this is like early 90s. And I went to Bill and I was like, hey, how do I look like that? And then he goes, well, at my dad's church, there was a small weight room of probably about the size of the studio. And he goes, well, why don't you come and work out with me? And so he showed me some things, and that's when I first got the bug. And then I played high school football, and so there was weightlifting in that, but I didn't really get into it until my sophomore year of college. I met this guy, and he was into working out, and he goes, hey, read this book, which is Body for Life by Bill Phillips. And that book changed my life, and in one summer, I went from being 126 pounds to 140 just over the course of the summer, and I was like, I really like this. I can do this. But most of the reason why I got into fitness was completely out of insecurity because I was small and I wanted to be bigger because I'm short. So I knew that I couldn't ever grow taller. And so therefore I was like, okay, I can control at least the way I look and and feel and all those things. And so I got into fitness out of insecurity. But what ended up working out was that I was really good at it. And so you don't stay in fitness for this long unless you actually are good at it and you can help people change their life. And so 22 years later, here we are.
So do you do a lot of personal training? Is that your sort of your avocation, or not your avocation, but your job now, right? Or are you running administratively
So now I don't coach anymore, and I'm just the sales guy for the gym now. And I don't say that lightly, but I mean, like, I'm responsible for the growth and the advancement of the company. I am the CEO of the company, and we have 6 employees. My wife is still coaching, but that's on a smaller role, because so she's also been a coach for 21 years. So we both have been in this for a long time. But yeah, personal training was my background. But I started off as a Division I strength and conditioning coach. And so being able to be on the elite side, where most people, most trainers or strength, like CrossFit coaches, are like, I want to get to the Division I or the NFL level. That's like, you'll talk to a lot of them, they want to get to that level. That's where I started. But there's actually more money to be made if you're a good personal trainer than there is as a strength coach, unless you're like one of the blue blood programs in the country.
Where were you at?
I was at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is still a pretty dynamic program. Football.
Yep, football, basketball, hockey.
Yeah.
I was in charge. I was not in charge of, but I was one of the assistants for football and hockey.
So it's quite a statement to say that you got into it for, insecurities, and that's like speaks to your maturity and where you are now with your fitness. I've had many conversations with young men, I'll say 18 to maybe even 30, that I just want to get jacked and big, and I just ask them, like, do you plan on sustaining that your whole life, right? And their goals are much different. But so I'm curious what it was like at a D1 school. So are you 146 now, and are you still having to prove yourself to these monsters?
Yeah, great question. That is exactly what happened. So when I came in, Bob Vezzo was the head strength and conditioning coach at Western Michigan, and he had just come off of winning like the Division I strength and conditioning coach of the year. So he was one of the top coaches in the country at that time. And he goes, all right, I'll give you a chance, but you have today. You have one shot. And if these guys eat you alive and spit you out, then you don't have a job. I was like, okay. And so here I am. At that time, I was anywhere between 140 and 150 pounds at that time. Still 5'7", so a small guy. And these guys are, the smallest player is like 180, right? So, and the largest player is like 335. So you have this discrepancy in these massive men, and little old me coming in there, and I was able to control the room. I was able to control the section that I was given and create buy-in very, very quickly by just recommending different things to feel different things to allow for them to understand and how it would apply to the field. And so that created immediate buy-in. And at that time, everything just kind of changed. And then next thing, when they were going over and telling the head coach, the head strength coach, like, he knows what he's talking about, and I've never felt that before. And so that created instant buy-in. And after they all left for the day, he goes, well, you made it, and I'll see you tomorrow. And the rest is history.
Just to clarify, when I said monsters, I was referring to the monstrous size that these Division I athletes must be. Like, I've stood in front of a 6'8", 300-something pound guy before. They're just massive. Like, they'll take out the whole doorway, But so you left Michigan to come to Pasadena to go to Fuller. Is that why you came? And so at that time in your life, were you intending to become a pastor?
Yeah, I was. I thought that I had heard the call to ministry. And, being a pastor's kid, my grandfather, it was and my great grandfather, that was the family business. And so even though that my dad married into that side, so that was separate, that's what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And I was very convicted on that. And I remember telling my dad before I moved out here, I said, "Hey, I don't know why I got this undergrad degree in exercise science." And my dad is not a prophetic man by any means, and prophetic meaning like being able to see the future and say, what may happen. He goes, "Well, maybe you'll use your undergrad degree maybe you'll open a business and do that during the weekdays and then help out a church on a weekend." Oh, kind of came true.
So when did you decide that, you said that you very much believed that was your calling. You went to Fuller, and then when did you decide that was no longer what you wanted to do?
So in 2007, I was applying to multiple different churches, youth pastor, music pastor, like different things that I could do and was good at. And I would get to the very last stage, very last interview, and something wouldn't work out. And I was like, well, I got to make some money. I know that I can train people, and I know how to do that. So I applied at 24-Hour Fitness in Altadena and Arcadia, and then also Equinox. And Equinox of of Westwood offered me a management position, but I did not. I drove out there one time for that interview and was like, even though that was a management position, more money and everything, I did not want to live on the west side. I loved the San Gabriel Valley. I loved Pasadena. Didn't want to leave, so I took a job for way less money, and worked at 24-Hour Fitness Arcadia. And that gym had just opened in 2007.
Is that on Santa Clara?
First, I believe.
First and Santa Clara. Like there's a post office next to it?
Yes, so the post office is south of the...
and next to REI. Okay, so
yep.
I remember when that... Do you know where that is?
Oh, I know right where it is.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, and then how was it working at 24 Hour? Well, let me back up a little bit. So you have a degree in theology. Mm-hmm. You pursued a job to become a pastor, and then you went to 24-Hour Fitness in Pasadena, and then what happens next?
So I end up working for 24-Hour Fitness as I'm still interviewing at churches to go that route, and I just kept having more success at 24 and making more money. I had a full client load. I was full time and was having a lot of success there. And that is large in part because I had a manager there that helped me understand one key thing about fitness and sales. Because at that time, I had never really had to sell to get clients. They just were always provided to me, which were the athletes. And so I had to learn on how to sell. Now, thankfully, I worked at Foot Locker for like 4 years, so I learned how to sell shoes. And so I've always been in some form of athletics. So I knew how to sell, but not in this way to be able to sell thousands of dollars of a package. And when you have that and you don't make any money, like, so you're fresh out of grad school and you're making no money. Now it's like, hey, this is a $1,500 package that you have to sell and you don't have $1,500. That's a whole nother level of skill set. And I was like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't like sales. And this manager of mine, he goes, you're not selling people anything. You are offering them a better life. And that changed everything for me, because that was a product that I could buy into and believe in, and that was true. And it's still something true to this day that I'm the reason why our business has had so much success.
Look how just a little, different perspective changes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just you word it a little bit differently, but it's true. You could then buy into it. You were offering people something.
Yeah. I too struggled with that same concept. I used to feel like, sales was like dirty and sleazy, or there was something bad about it. And a defining moment for me, someone said to me that almost everything on this planet is bought and sold.
Yes.
And that really stuck with me, that, it has to make the world sort of go, right? It's different from yours. I think yours is a lot more, profound and really matters. But yeah, you had a great manager, that shared that with you. So you got behind that, you had success there. And then, did you jump from, having your own clients to your own gym, or where happened next?
So I went from, in 2007, when I started there, it took me about 3 months to get ramped up to full time. And then And full time in 24's world was 120 sessions a month. So it's a lot of floor time, right? So it's about 30 personal training hours a week. And then, so I ended up doing that, having success through that. And then my district manager came to me and he said, hey, I would like you to become a fitness manager and I'd like you to run this club over here. So I was basically, all I had to say was yes. And then he's like, and he promised me the world. This was the beginning of corporate. And that was when, so he dangled the carrot in front of me and I bit the carrot the first time. And it was an awful 3-month experience. I hated it as a manager.
You moved clubs?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I went to West Covina.
Not as much personal training there. So
Not at all.
Yeah.
And so very different club, different demographic, learned a lot, hated it though. So I stepped back down to just being a trainer because I was driving, didn't enjoy driving. I was making less money, working more hours. It was not for me. So I came back to Arcadia, stepped back down just being a trainer, built my business back up.
Wait, so you lost all your clients and then in 3 months you had to come back with 0?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough. Okay.
And I rebuilt it in 1 month.
Wow.
So it didn't take me very long. It was pretty incredible. But at the same time, those managers knew what I was capable of, so that they gave me people, right? And then, but it's up to you as a coach to be able to keep those people. So they gave me starter packages and things like that, but I was able to flip those into longer term commitments and keep my clientele there. So then from that, I was only there for maybe 6-7 months. And then I was given a significantly better opportunity, brand new club in Walnut, City of Industry Sport, grand opened that location. And I built that location from $0 to $50,000 in revenue of personal training revenue every single month.
As a trainer or manager?
As a manager.
As a manager.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that gym was unique because I got to hire and build a team up from nothing because that was a brand new club. And that was, and it was also brand new. It was beautiful and all of it was great. And so that was a much more, and this time he paid me way more than it was before. And the funny thing is about that is that the hourly rate for management at that time was $15 an hour. And now that's what we have to pay as minimum wage employees in Pasadena. It's great.
What year was that?
That was in 2009.
Okay, so did you enjoy while you were there building this team, seeing the success and having that grow? Did you enjoy that process?
So that was when everything started to change for me. Learning the management side, learning the HR side, learning all of the things that would require to grow as a business person, as an entrepreneur. And a lot of that stuff ended up being really, really helpful for me. And people have said to me, how'd you learn all this stuff in business? Did you get an MBA? No. It's just 24 Fitness gave me a lot of business acumen because you would sit in these meetings and you're learning from people who do it bigger and better than you, and you're responsible for a multi-million-dollar club. And so by the time that from there, I ended up meeting my wife in 2009 at that same club. And then I ended up moving closer to Pasadena in 2010 because I moved to Pasadena, the one in Old Town, and ran that one. And that one was in shambles.
Is that the dungeon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
the dungeon is referring to that it's below street level, I think.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Underneath the culinary school.
Yes. Are you familiar, Scott?
On Colorado.
Yeah. On Colorado and near past Fair Oaks, right? It would be east of Fair Oaks.
It's south of Fuller Seminary.
Yeah.
Directly behind Fuller.
Is that the theater district?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Playhouse district. Yep. Yeah.
Oakland, Madison area right there.
Right. Yeah.
Really unusual location for a gym,
I'm trying
right?
to place it, but I can't quite place it.
Yeah. I mean, if you went there or you know people who went there, it is an unusual location. And actually the other 24 that's above Hastings Ranch, that was also an unusual location also. They had repurposed an old, office space. It looked
You said there were two dungeons.
Yeah.
the two 24-hour fitness were
those two 24s, and like here's the history on that is that 24 at one point they would in their history before they went to big boxes, they would acquire these smaller locations underground, and that's where that they were building these 24s at the time. And then they got wise because nobody knew where they were, and they were also from a air quality standpoint was way worse than having like some of these bigger, nicer AC units. So
Okay. And at this time, are you still pursuing being a pastor somewhere, or had you shelved that?
I had shelved it at that point. And so and this is another key component, I think, to that part is that I found when I was a youth pastor, this is in 2007, I really enjoyed making money, and I ended up having this sense of, I had quite a bit of conviction that the church shouldn't be used for personal gain. The church shouldn't be used for your own personal like wealth. And there's quite a few churches out there and that are big churches, and those senior pastors are amazing businessmen, amazing leaders, but they use the church as their personal platform to gain wealth. And I fundamentally disagree with that. So that's what I really love about business is that you can do all of those things, have all of those things, and know that that's where you want to go. And that's what ultimately led us to opening up, Pendulum.
So before we get into where it started as a thought and idea, and then you taking action to actually open it, we ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. What did you bring with you today?
So my item of significance is really kind of lame, but it is my cell phone.
Your cell phone, okay.
And the reason why this is my item of significance is because I run my entire business through this. And the speed of which that we respond to people, the speed of which that we reach out to people is one of the largest reasons that we've been so successful. And people are like, wow, I literally just filled out a form and you just are now contacting me. If you cannot stay in front of people, if you cannot because you have this window of time that people are still aware that they did that thing, especially here in Los Angeles, and if people get so busy that they end up saying, "Oh, I'll get back to it." But when you have about a 3-minute window that if you can catch them, they're still engaged, and this is the reason why we've been able to build our business to the success that we have, is because I'm literally always on it, for better for worse.
Yeah, do you get the notification that tells you like how much time you've been on your phone in the week and
every Sunday?
Are you shocked, disappointed, happy? Like, how does that?
I would like it to be less, and I think it has become less since I've hired for these roles so that we can have the speed. Eventually, it'd be great to be. My kids are 8 and 10, and I would love for that to be even less and less so that I can be more present with them. And I think that that's one of the greater things that I'm working on, is that as I hire for different roles inside the gym, that it gives me more time back. And you'll hear other entrepreneurs say, "Oh, well, that I'm able to divert my attention to more business activities." And I think that I have the right people in place so that those business activities can still be made and the business can grow in that realm so that I can have more attention and time with my family.
Sure. So you're now at 24-Hour Fitness in Pasadena. What happens there, and when did the seed for Pendulum start in your mind?
Started in 2011. When 2010 I had my first CrossFit class, and my first CrossFit experience was in 2009, and kept going and doing that. And then in 2010 I went to a CrossFit gym, and I only lasted a month. I ended up hurting my back, and I had this entire experience that was not great. And I walk in, and the owner and trainer goes, "Oh," because we knew each other from 24-Hour Fitness. And he goes, "You're a coach, you're a trainer, you'll be fine, just jump on in." I learned nothing. I knew nothing. And even though I had this background in fitness, doing CrossFit for the first time is very different than just doing fitness, by yourself or having a trainer.
And for those who may not be familiar, my opinion is that it's specifically the Olympic lifts that are dangerous if you don't know and if you're not taught anything about them, that those can be very complicated lifts to learn. And to do them at intensity is nuts. But anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and so it was actually not even an Olympic lift, it was deadlifting, but it was deadlifting at, I still remember the workout, it was 1.5 times my body weight. And I had, although I could do it, but doing it for time and speed, I did not have that volume of training underneath my belt. And so I ended up getting hurt, and I was like, man, this is not enjoyable. But then I kept coming back to it. I was just drawn to it like a moth to a flame. I was just like, this is something. And this is really powerful. And I kept coming back to it. And then another gym opened in Pasadena, and I was their second member. And so I went and did that. And while I was there, that is when I went to my wife and I was like, hey, I want to open up a CrossFit gym. You want to do this? I think with our experience and our background, I think that we can crush it. And one of the things that I saw that was missing in the market was to take beginners and teach them on how to do all of this stuff in a slow and methodical fashion so that people could gain confidence, strength, endurance, increase their fitness, lose weight, do all of these things so that we were able to do that. And the other thing, so that's what I saw from the hole in the market. But the thing that was in it for us is that I actually wanted to be able to buy a house in Pasadena. And I didn't think that working for 24 Hour Fitness and the money that we were making there, both me and my wife, that we were going to be able to do that. And so that's what we set out. We were like, we can do that as a small business owner. But I didn't really realize how hard that was going to be. So in 2014, I know that I'm skipping over some years there, but in 2014 is when we decided to, that's when we opened the gym in February of 2014. February 26th was our first workout in the gym.
Did you buy a house?
Yeah, we did. Last year.
Nice, congratulations.
Yep.
No small feat in Pasadena.
No small feat, which I don't know, maybe that's for another podcast. But in 2020, when the pandemic happened, we saw what was happening in the market in Pasadena, and I was like, we can't keep up with that. That's crazy. And seeing homes jump by 200K. And I was like, we can't keep up with that. So we moved to Austin, Texas, and we bought a plot of land and built a home on it in 20.
Wait, hold on. So you opened Pendulum,
mm-hmm.
Then did you close it and leave it?
No, we ran it remotely.
You ran it remotely?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So we ran it remotely. I had an online business as well for fitness, and thanks to the pandemic, it was really helpful. And so we ended up moving to Austin in 21 when the house was done in July. So we moved in. It was going really well, and we were also, and we're like, all right, so maybe we just didn't have the right narrative. The narrative wasn't the right thing that we were looking for. And so we decided to move to Austin. And while we were doing that, my wife started training people out of the garage again. I was missing members. I was missing our community. And I felt alone for the very first time. I'm sure like what a lot of people felt like in 2020 when they were at home, working at home, no longer in their day-to-days. And I missed being in the gym, and I thought I wanted out of the gym. And during that time, we two of our staff approached us and asked if we wanted to sell. So we said yes. So we decided to explore that, go down that path. Then the deal got blocked by our landlord, and so then we weren't able to sell the business. That fell through, and those two staff went and opened their own gym in Pasadena, and we had to move back after 6 months of being in Austin with a brand new house. We sold that house in Austin, made a killing, moved back to Pasadena, and used that money towards the house in Pasadena.
Oh.
Wild.
Couple of sort of diversions there, but wow, it worked out well.
Yeah.
And how was Austin?
Not worth the hype.
Is that right?
Not worth the hype.
Because it is well hyped.
It is. It's mini LA is what they call it.
Yeah.
Hype for what?
Oh, it's just hyped for being the place to go now, Austin, Texas.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
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 Because of housing, because of business?
Yeah, all of that. Quality of life, cheaper housing, better business regulations.
Is it north of Dallas?
South.
South of Dallas. How far from the coast?
A long time.
Not
Like
near
3
the
hours,
coast.
4 hours?
Yeah,
Oh.
3 hours.
Wow,
yeah.
okay. So that's
Which-
pretty loud.
It will be better to just wait for the coast to come to you.
Like us here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you make your way back, and how's the business at that point? Is it flourishing? Is it the way you left it?
No, it was decimated.
Decimated.
Absolutely decimated. And we lost, because of that failed transaction, people started talking and coming up with their own ideas about what happened. And we lost half of the business overnight.
Wow.
Overnight while you were in Austin, you mean?
So I was flying back and forth at this point. So this is November of 21. I'm flying back and forth every other week, and letting people know, hey, we're moving back. We're going to come back and take care of this. So don't leave. And so, but people still left because it was just too much drama for people to deal with. You know, coaches leaving, you know, the business is not the same, you know, all these things. This is a good time to bow out. So the difference of like where we were at in January to December was astronomical. Like as far as revenue is concerned, like night and day. And we ended up having only 60 people left when we moved back. And
what would be a healthy number to have?
in my opinion, you know, 150 and above is a healthy number. But you can also like have, in our model, it's different because it ends up being people pay more because they're getting coaching. It's not like a normal 24-hour fitness membership, which is like $30 a month or $40 a month. Ours range from anywhere at that time, $200 to $250 at that time.
Well, that's quite the turnaround in a year, and I'd like to get more into that. But let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Warmouth Law, they believe that just because you speak a foreign language, come from a different culture, or simply don't know how to navigate the legal system, that should not prevent you from compensation from injury or receiving benefits. Their multicultural staff have been helping SGVers like you for over 38 years. Visit law888.com or call them at 626-784-7017 and tell them you heard about them on this podcast.
All right, we're back with Drew Girton. Drew, before the break, you were sharing about this turnaround that happened with your gym, and I'd like to get more into that and how you did that. But before that, we're going to go on to a segment with the Like You cards, and I'm going to read the two questions.
It's our version of parlor games.
And you can choose to answer one or none. So here we go. Are people born naturally good or naturally evil? And what belief are you willing to suffer for? So a little bit deeper than
Wow.
the previous cards, right?
Oh, pastor.
Yeah.
That's your question.
So do you want to go first, Drew?
We're all born into sin. Like we're at the core of people, right? Like if you look back at humanity, we're all born and that we are all in need of a savior, if you will, right? That's what the Bible talks about. But so I would say evil, maybe not the right word that I would use, but for the sake of the card, I would say that we're all born that way, and that it is the practice of the things that we do that make us good.
All right, that's a tough one to follow, Scott. But I actually had this conversation yesterday with someone, and the question, was, do you believe people are naturally, it was good or bad, right? It wasn't evil. So I agree with you. That's a little stronger. And my answer to that was that I believe that people are naturally bad because of my own thoughts, feelings, tendencies. I would rather do what's wrong, easy, feels good. I know that, right? And so because I know that of myself, that's why I hold that belief. But anyway, All right, Scott, he's
Well, it's funny because I had a similar conversation yesterday as well. And so as a Catholic, I was born into sin, right? Until I was baptized, that sin was there. But I don't believe that. So I believe people are good. That's how I feel. And I always initially will see only the good. Okay. Then when I get taken advantage of, then I see the evil. But I still will probably always carry with me the thought that they're good.
Yeah. I don't know who said this. It was a statement rather than a quote saying that people want to believe that people are good at the core despite all the evidence to the contrary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a little bit deeper than the course normally work.
Right.
So thank you for participating in that. But let's go on to your story. So how did you turn it around?
Well, the great thing about when you have this moment and it's a defining moment, you have two choices. You can either, one, go through the fire and the only way through it is through it. Or two, you can quit. You can fold. You can say, all right, well, that was it. I have a family. I have goals. I have things. And I just wasn't going to go down like that. I wasn't going to go down at the hands of something else. I control my own destiny on that. And my work ethic, my effort, and the things that we do to set out, that is way more important to me. So that's what we did. When we moved back, that in lies the story. When we moved back in January of last year, January 26th of 2022, we flew back, we're staying at the Westin, we get a text message, one of our moving trucks caught on fire.
Oh.
Burnt down to the ground. Lost everything in that moving truck. And Alex, who was working for me, I think she's going to be on the show.
Yes.
Alex worked for me at the time for my online business, and she was moving back to LA, and I said, hey, why don't you jump in on this truck? She lost everything in that truck. Everything. So I lost some stuff, but not nearly as everything as she had. Catastrophic event. Wow. Can't believe it happened. We had to stay a couple of days because our rental wasn't ready yet. When we get into the rental was, they said it was clean. It was not. There's all these other things with it. And then that weekend, some guy comes by the gym and goes, hey, I see that your driveway needs to be redone. I have extra slurry. I'll redo it for you for like $2,000. And this is all being relayed to me from the chiropractor that rents from us. And I'm like, and I'm moving things in and out of our place. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, let's do it. Perfect storm. It was a complete scam. Didn't finish the job. Like, it was just,
Wow.
And so like now, bang, 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 like a couple of things all happen all at once. Scam, fire, place isn't ready. And on paper or like just going through it, like, did we make the wrong decision to move back? No, it just is a part of the story. Like, it's like a little bit, there's speed bumps, right? It's adversity. And you're defined by how you respond in those moments. And so we just kept going to work. We just kept showing up. We just kept doing the thing. And I went back and was working like from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m., like Monday through Friday, and then working on Saturdays, and kept going and working and working and working. And so we lost over 60 some odd members in that time, like the previous year. So I had to replace all of those people. My wife and I didn't take any money for our salaries and things like that. Like, so, because we had our rent and one employee and we had to pay them. So that was the stuff that we had to rebuild. Then we sold the house in Austin. So we did really well there. And real estate was great for us. And that was right before the Austin market took a dive. So we got out at a great time. We got lucky. And then in April, everything started to change. My Facebook ads started taking off, which they weren't really and in the past. And so they started to take off. And then by July, I had replaced everybody that had left.
Wow.
And then we've doubled that since. So in a full year, we've doubled the amount of people that we lost.
It's remarkable because that was not the first time you had to come back and build. You had done that, I don't know, 10 years previous or something, right?
Yeah.
So you learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible story, and just the perseverance and you know, the storm of all that. That's the tough thing to go through. I see your content online a lot, and it's interesting that your gym is like it's a brand. It's branded. It's totally branded. You know, the colors, and I see this feel. Scott's probably looking at it right now. Yeah. I think that's also unique in the space that you occupy. I've not seen other gyms take that approach. And how did you come up with that? How did you create that?
So my brother is a graphic designer. I was an artist as well. And I actually almost went to art school, except for my art teacher told me, unless you love it, don't do it. And at the time, I knew nothing about graphic design. And if I would have known about graphic design, I probably would have taken a completely different turn and not gone into fitness at all, because I really enjoy it. And so how we got to that point was, I've always enjoyed the arts and the creative side of things and being able to put that stuff out there into the world. And Alex, we were just talking one day, and I said, she's like, I can't believe, this is before I had ever hired her. She goes, I can't believe you do all of this stuff yourself. Like, that's like a full-time job for somebody in and of itself. And I was like, yeah, I just enjoy it though. And I said, but I'm wanting to scale and I'm wanting to do some different things. So would you like to actually come and do this for me? And she's like, really? Yes. And you get to work remotely and you get to do all of this stuff. And she had been wanting to be able to do this kind of work remotely so that she could spend more time with her daughter at home. And, the two of us working together is a creative force. And we've been able to really put out this really unique feeling brand.
Yeah, it is unique. When I watch your content, it's both informative and I would say real, right? You see these people who are on their journey to becoming who they want to be in their fitness journey, and they're real people. Like I don't see this like real polished, that other gyms or facilities or trainers try to present, and that comes across, your social media stuff. I really, really like that, and of course the editing from Alex is really cool too. But you're also front facing, like you're in front of the camera a lot, doing reels and doing the educating on social media.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. And one of the things that Shahan and I talk about whenever I go in to see him, people go to Lee's Hoagie House because of him and the food. And when you are there at the front and he's ringing you out and you're talking to him and you're talking trash to him because he loves to do that, it's great. That's a part of his brand. That is a part of who he is. And what has been great for us is that he's able, that's his brand. And I am a part of my brand. And to remove me from my brand is to rob it of what makes it unique. And so if you are a entrepreneur and you are your brand, right? So, and especially in this personal branding space now of like, the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, the Grant Cardones, the Alex Hormozis, these people who have built these personal brands. I am Pendulum and Pendulum is me, and that it's a part of the brand. And to remove me from it does the business a disservice, because that is how we built the place, was on my back.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit about what it is that you offer? What's different about do you refer to yourself as a CrossFit gym?
So we actually, what we call ourselves now is we're CrossFit Boutique, because it's not enough to say that we're a CrossFit gym, because although that we do offer group classes, we also offer semi-privates, privates, nutrition. And what largely separates us from our competition is that we customize people's journey. So you come in, you tell us what you want to do, and I will tell you how long it's going to take. Real, not fast, but like how long in a real scenario that it will take you to lose that weight or gain that muscle or whatever that you're looking for. So I'll give you that time frame. And then what I'll do is I'll customize a program that is the best interest of you. Not the best interest for me, but the thing that you want out of your experience. And then we present the pricing and do that. And then based off of your goals, I guarantee the work, or we will keep coaching you for free until we do. Because then we're both on the hook. You put the money down, I guarantee results. And if we're both on the hook, great things can happen then. Because then it's not just about me winning.
And if they come to Pendulum, are they getting Drew, or do you have a team of other coaches that work with you?
You'll meet with me first. And so that's where you'll meet with me and engage with me. And then I'm always around still, but I like it that way. And but you'll work with my staff. I have over 6 different coaches on staff.
What does CrossFit mean?
Great question. So I think that we're all still trying to figure that out, but it's constantly varied functional movement that is performed at high intensity. So every day you're going to get something different. The functional movements are pressing, pulling, squatting, pushing, and that will prepare you for everyday life so that you can be generally physically prepared. So if you decide to go up and hike a mountain, you can do that. If you decide to go and help a friend move, you can do that. And you're not out for days, right? And the high intensity is another variable part. So it can be heavy weights, or it can be a lot of reps, and it can be done for time. So there's just different modalities that we use.
I laugh because every gym I think is different. Every CrossFit gym and facility is different in the way it's run and what they teach there. Like, yeah, it's and wide ranging too, really wide ranging of how they are. So thank you for sharing what makes your gym different and unique and what you have to offer. We're going to get into what you like to do in the San Gabriel Valley.
Drew, what are your SGV three things that are memorable or activities that you've enjoyed in the SGV?
My 3 favorite. 1, Copa Vida Coffee. My friend Steve is the owner there, and I've had a couple other friends who've been there on staff. Love Copa Vida.
Isn't that at Green and maybe Fair Oaks?
Fair Oaks?
Yeah. Is it Fair Oaks? I think it's Raymond.
Okay.
Not that I...
Have you been there, Scott? Oh, you don't drink coffee, but...
No, I haven't been there for coffee, but I think they have some food service there.
Yep, they do a great cafe.
Yeah. I've been there once, yeah.
And really beautiful, like the setting, right? It's because it's big windows and you can see the people and cars going by.
And you can sit outside as well.
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Used to be Red, White, and Blues back in the day before that. So they opened in 2013. And that's where I actually wrote the business plan, and everything for Pendulum was actually inside that coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's an area where people can just lounge and hang out, right?
Yep.
Like work.
Number 2, Lee's Hoagie House.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I love what what they do. I enjoy going there, and the protein burritos are fantastic. And it's my favorite part is to call in and to say, "Hey, Shahan, it's Drew," and he goes, "See you in 5 minutes," and then it's just like he already knows what's coming. So I love to be known like that. That where you get to know it almost like a family way. And then number 3 is the Rose Bowl. My family and I've been running there around the loop there for 18 plus years now. And my family goes there. We go there, we take the kids on the bike, and that is, they also have an outdoor workout area. And so what we'll do is we'll take the family there, and we'll all work out in the little workout area. And, it's one of my favorite spots.
That is one of my favorite spots that I would definitely name if I were to do an SGV3. But it doesn't get enough notice, I think,
Sure. Let me back up to Lee's Hoagie House. So that is on Colorado and Roosevelt, I think, in more East Pasadena. Mm-hmm. And the Rose Bowl is at northwest sort of Pasadena. But I think our listeners know where the Rose Bowl is.
Yep.
In the Arroyo, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sahan is quite a character, huh? Like I would fail if I had to do his job. Like not only remember the names to the faces, but what they like to order. And he absolutely does that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
I just have to say those chicken sandwiches are incredible.
See, we all have our thing.
Yeah.
he brought, 2 trays here when he came, and Scott had a sandwich like before the show even started.
That's great.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're really good. Well,
I should have brought you guys protein shakes then. I feel like I've now let you down.
Oh, no.
I don't drink that.
You've inspired us with your story. That was good enough.
Yeah. Well, Drew, if people want to come check out your facility, get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
So our Instagram is pendulum.fitness, or you can go to our website, which is www.pendulum.fit. So like fitness, and that's how you can reach us, find out about us, and
there's a .fit now.
There's been a .fit. We've had our .fit since 2018.
Wow.
Yep.
And what's the address of your gym?
2041 East Villa Street.
Awesome. Well, Drew, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with us and our listeners. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. There's another episode for you. Thanks for tuning in. This is what we do. We bring you the stories of the people that make our community great. So don't forget, you can check out the full back catalog on our website, sgvmasterkey.com. Drop us a comment, like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you again next week.
You've been listening to the SGV Master Key Podcast. Our passion is the small businesses and the people that make up the San Gabriel Valley, and it's our honor to have them on the show. We hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to like, rate, and review. The show is produced by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers of Kind Monster Productions. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on the SGV Master Key Podcast.
Master, no, kind of master.